you cannot succeed again if you do not accept that principle. So I got issues. And the issues are not what I glory in. I don't glory in the issue. Yay, me. I'm messed up. We don't glory in the issues, but the issues help us understand why we need grace. The issues are the things that remind us why we need grace. The issues are the things that prevent us from getting a little too high for our own good. began to read at 14 to the present tense. And the significance of that is in the first 13 verses, he's talking about the awesome works of God and how God has regenerated him into himself through Christ by grace. But then when he starts talking about his struggle, he doesn't talk about it and refer to it as it's in the past. That means it's still going on. Let me say that again. When he's referring to this struggle, the scriptures that we're going to walk through, he's referring to it in the present tense. So you remember when I said, can you hit pause and talk about yourself? That means in the present tense. Can you take a pause when you're ministering to somebody and not tell them, baby, let me tell you all the things I've been through. Can you tell them the stuff you're going through right now? You might not want to tell that. But that testimony can be powerful. Now, verse 15. We'll walk through the scriptures of the duration of the chapter. He says let me say this. I'm choosing to read from the King James Version. If you're reading from another version, that's fine, because you gotta